You're muted again, Ted, so. Mute, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, good morning, Ricky, how are you?
Good morning. And I just had a couple of questions here. On the technical side of it, we currently are building out an Arden mesh network throughout our county.
Mhm.
And if we're looking at a second router, is this router going to be able to sit behind a NAT network back out again? I didn't think NAT routing was even possible.
It's not going to be natted, and Charles can chime in here, but the VPN connection will go to the state hub. And that's the only place there's encryption. It's a VPN from where your router is going to be, and it goes back to the state hub. Then the encryption gets stripped off because then it's back again on the 44 network. So that's how it addresses NAT routing, because you got a VPN connection between your router and the state gateway. Does that make sense?
Okay, that makes perfectly sense. So I would hand off a NAT address to the WAN port of this Toshi router. And this router would basically make a nailed VPN call out to a dedicated network.
Right.
And then any device that is connected to the LAN side of this router is automatically on this network.
Yes, because
Is
your
that the
router,
topology?
yeah, your router is going to have a DHCP pool of 44 addresses that it can issue out. Your subnet of DHCP, and you're going to be able to do it that way. It's just a 44 net router with DHCP, and you're going to have an encrypted tunnel to the state side. So we can't do that over radio, that particular WireGuard tunnel, but it's using the WireGuard protocol to do it. So if you've got a router that can already run WireGuard, then you can work with Charles once we get the state, but we've got to get the state gateway set up first. And that's where Charles is working with the individual up there to get that functional. And then, but that's going to handle your NAT. Is that going to answer your questions?
That absolutely, just now I can get that wrapped around my head. We
Yes.
currently have a packet network that is operational.
Good.
We're running it on a Raspberry Pi 4. We've
Perfect.
got 2 nodes running BBQ.
Mhm.
I don't want to put another packet node in, but if we can integrate what we have operational and push that into this new network, that would be the ultimate.
No problem. It can be done. Now,
Alrighty.
as far as the Arden network, you're going to have a gateway, because unless you've already got your Arden configured to do everything on 44 net, but it's probably set up for your 10 dot, typical Arden software setup. So you're going to have just a portal on the 44 net somewhere on your Arden network, but I'm sure you can handle that without a problem. Right?
A good person to talk to about that is N2MH, Mark Herson.
Yep.
He's done it up here in West Orange, New Jersey, and down in North Carolina. So, and he's running JNOS on 44 net, and it's connected to his mesh.
All right, that's
walking right
perfect.
through that.
All right, so as we get further with this, we'll reach out to the proper individuals for the engineering side of it.
Yep.
But I'm very much interested in nailing up a node into Central Florida. Now, just to give you a heads up, I am the emergency coordinator for Southeast Florida, which means I manage 14 counties. So the buck stops exactly with my desk.
That's good. It's awesome. We want to get activity integrated. And so do you have a router that you're using now that's got WireGuard capabilities on it?
I have to look at our router to see if it will support this firmware.
Okay.
I would like to take the conversation off to a private Zoom meeting into a more technical terms. And I'll let Ted kind of negotiate that for me. And
Okay,
then
so
I'll make available that.
in absence of if your router doesn't have a WireGuard plugin that it can use, A simple solution is we take a $30 microtik, set it up as a gateway wire guard station, and it's just your wire guard. That's your DHCP for your 44 net stuff. So on your network, it would just be the small cheap microtik and set up to run that. So in absence of a router that's got wire guard, you'll just, grab a $30 microtik and put it somewhere in your network, and that'll take care of the problem.
As a matter of normal procedure, everybody should always be looking to update firmware and software. Don't let it sit there idle for 2-3 years, because then so many changes could happen, so many features could be missing. Just as a routine, maybe once a month, twice, every quarter, check to see if there are any updates whatsoever on anything that you're running, hardware or software, and get them done. Otherwise, you could be falling behind and giving yourself more headaches than you really need.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. It not only as much as features, but we're talking about security bugs and everything else. That all comes with it. I'll have to look at my router, if it's capable of running that firmware. I would not even be opposed of simply replacing the router with a brand new router that supports this, because my router that I'm using is really nothing special.
Okay, not a problem. We'll be able to get to that. So you're probably best to just keep in touch with Charles via email, because he's coordinating the statewide stuff for Florida. Because Charles is a 44 net coordinator for, I think, 14 states, but Florida is not
11.
11.
Don't give me more than I can really.
But he doesn't do Florida, so he sounds like he's getting some forward movement with the gentleman from Florida who's the 44 net coordinator. So get that done then, and you and Charles should exchange emails, because if you represent that much of South Florida, he might be able to help.
All right, that's not an issue. If anybody really is interested, you can go out to our team's website, which is November4 Tango Delta X-ray.org. That's November4 Tango Delta X-ray.org. That's our Aries team website, our BCAT team. So that'll tell you a little bit about what we do. We're a very dynamic team, a very busy team. But that's just what we are, and we're focused on one thing, and this fits right into that mold perfectly.
Well, that's good, because
Charles, I've got a very busy morning ahead of me, and I'm going to bail out. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell Ted. I'm going to give Ted as the gateway to this project. Because a single form of communications back and forth is good. Too many muddies the waters.
Tell Don, Ricky, tell Don your email address. Don, could you put
Don,
Ricky on the IO groups mailing list, Don?
Yes, please. My email address is Kilo 4 Juliet Tango Tango at November4 Tango Delta X-ray.org. Kilo 4 Juliet Tango Tango at November4 Tango Delta X-ray.org. All right, got to go, Don. Thanks, everybody, and I'll
Thank you very much.
pressing forward.
Yeah, I got that. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Brian, for letting us jump in here.
No, it's perfect timing.
I guess a brief summary is all is well here in Florida. We do have all the nodes up and running. Unfortunately, in Connecticut, I sent an update to Don. The hard drive has failed at my site in Connecticut, so that is down. Don, I think you got that information, Don?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, Brian, if nothing else on your end, we should drop out if we may.
Very, very good. Thank you very much for the updates, Ted, and we'll talk to you later.
Okay, guys, thank you. We'll see you. Have a good meeting.
All right, very good. On the topic of Florida, email, WA2 UPK. You had any updates for us?
You'll have to say that again.
No, you're good, Ted. You can leave now.
Okay, very good. See you.
Email, WA2 UPK. Can we do an update from you?
Yeah, how you doing, guys? No, I have nothing really here because I'm just observing at the moment right now. So I'm sort of out of packet at the moment, and I keep in touch with Ted there to see what's going on. But I'm just used to be very active, but sort of moved and nothing around this area at the moment.
Well, maybe we're gonna get some activity in Florida because of that. Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Jim Pyatt, WA1SAX, you got any updates for us?
Yeah, no updates. I'm not at the SOP level yet. So, but look, I'm from an IT background. I understand networks. I'm trying to learn how you guys are building this backbone and back end. And I do HF. I'm an extra. I do HF and VHF, UHF. I support emergency coordinator Don Gowan in Connecticut here. I'm in his area, his territory. I've been dabbling in Packet. I've done WinLink and Vara. I know what Vara is, and done it on HF. And so I've done APRS, helped a local marathon event, use APRS tracking. So I'm more on the client side, but you really don't know how to use these things until you really dig in on the back end and what's available. So by my just listening in, I'm picking up a lot of different things that I can explore because I like to experiment. I have some equipment I might one day want to put on the network, and the more I listen in, the more I'll learn.
Do you get the concept now of what we call our 44 gates? What we're doing now?
Yeah, it's the first I've heard of that one.
Yeah, so that's basically, and for the benefit of everybody else listening, it's the ability for you to put a router on your home internet connection, get it linked to the 44 network. And those of you who don't know, the 44 network is the Class A subnet IP4 network that ham radio has available to them. And it's supposedly just a ham radio only network. And so if you've got a router that can handle the 44 net traffic, and we only use the VPN to connect your home network over non-radio to the gateway, then we strip the encryption back off of it. So for anybody who gets their underwear bunched up because we're using encryption we can on ham radio, we don't do the encryption over anything RF wise. So that's the concept. But the idea is that prior to this, having something work on 44 net was a very complex process. Wasn't for the faint of heart, was not easy to do. This is designed to help simplify that. And I'm just saying help simplify because it's not always simple, but it does get you on 44 net so that you can connect with other 44 net things worldwide so now you can put a packet node, you can put an APRS node, an HF system, anything you want to put on 44 net, you can do it and interface it at your household level, household, club shack, whatever, wherever it is. So again, it gets us back on the internet. We want to do everything over RF, but again, it allows you to bridge when you're in an island and you can't connect on RF to anybody else, but you still want to play. So that's the concept. And of course, as that network grows, that's just adding redundancy because the odds of the internet going down everywhere are not too great. And part of the internet going down would be DNS denial, and 44 net's got its own DNS. So it would hopefully avoid that stuff, but we could go into that discussion all day.
And on top of
great.
that, Brian, each of the state ham gates has its own DNS file. So all the in-cap routing to everywhere else is stored on each machine. So anybody else can go down, we already know where to go. So that it doesn't matter
it's
where the
cached.
message needs to
Keep
go.
casting. Yep.
All the bulletins are flooded between all 11 states in one shot. So you could drop a bulletin in Massachusetts and Maryland's got it within minutes. So yes, for some purists, well, this isn't real radio. No, this is a backup to it. This is a parallel system. So you can do whatever you want, RF or internet. Some things you don't want to put on RF because of bandwidth. You can do it through the internet through this. So it's very flexible. As I say in my elevator speeches to people, whatever you can do on the internet, you can do here on 44net, except boobs are us or to sell any commercial products.
This is good because I helped to run the EOC in one of the EOCs in Connecticut. There's literally very few people that know anything about packet, and I think if I could learn and get something going in my home, then I might be able to repeat it at the EOC and get the knowledge out there and get some people involved.
Yeah, and the microtik routers are cheap. They're talking 30 to 50 bucks. They're just,
Not
they're
even.
not, how much are they now, Charles?
Oh, not even. I've got them for 25. So
Okay.
they come down and they're always updating the firmware. So they keep on top of it.
Hey,
Okay.
hey Jim, do you are you near Glastonbury?
Yes, Chris.
Can you hear KA1 VSC's backbone UHF? Do you know that frequency?
I've been working with Matt. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
he used his BBS as a home BBS, and I'm working with K1HEJ Larry as well. These guys are really great mentors.
Do you,
Yep.
do you know Troy Clark? He's
No, I
another
haven't.
Aries.
Okay, I'm in
Um,
Aries too, but I'll
Yeah,
have to
he's
look him up.
he runs the EOC for like down along the shore on East Lyme, somewhere down there. I'll send you an email. He's another guy to get in contact with. He's been trying to get some packet stuff going too.
Thank you, Chris. Very good.
Chris, let's go ahead and get an update from you on what you know. That's why you're here.
Everything's good here. Prospect node is up. I've acquired some UHF equipment. I don't know if any progress was made at Carmel.
Yeah, unfortunately, but
Okay.
we hadn't gotten up there yet, and I will go to Pat next and talk about that, but we
Yeah,
haven't-
I did some experience with 220. Well, I was emailing you back and forth that TYT radio. I ended up going through two of them through Amazon. Both have the same defect. So
okay.
for right now, I don't have any 220 equipment, but I do have UHF. The Milford node has a UHF antenna. I have a duplexer set up for that. I could do UHF and VHF down there. And
you-
I have
Can you hear the EDH node on UHF?
no, there's too much terrain. We
Okay.
tried. We did it trying for real. We couldn't hear EDH. I'm hoping to get something across in Long Island. Carmel, where I'm at, would be an easy shot. I can
Okay,
get
well,
to-
that's good because there's extra 8 UHF radios and there's an antenna, I think, aimed your way on that
Yeah.
side already. So,
Well, yeah, the car where I am is in central Connecticut.
yeah,
But
I've
I'm-
looked, I've
yeah,
looked at the path profile, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm more interested in getting that Milford node, something better than just relying on relaying through the W1SP network. I'd like to have a real backbone node for that.
Awesome.
That's where the population is down there. Up here in central Connecticut, VSC between the Prospect node and VSC is pretty much covered. But the shoreline where all the population is lacking with coverage, and that's why I'd like to get down there linked up.
We'll get there. We'll
right.
definitely get something. On that note, Pat, WB2 CMF, let's get an update from you because you're related to that and
Okay, unfortunately, there's really not much new to report. Nothing's really happened since the last meeting. I think I reported last meeting up in Huntington. We were We had met with the IT department from the town and we were promised that, yes, we can have an internet connection. And unfortunately, that did not occur yet. We talked to them about 3 weeks ago and they have no funds available until next fiscal year. So I'm not sure whether, we just got lip service, if we're ever going to get it. No, on the other hand, we have a club member that may be able to set us up with a wireless internet service. And of course, with the Microtech router into the New York ham gate, we might be able to do it that way. But so that may happen within the next month or so. I don't know. As you know, Ted was down for 8 months because his tower fell down,
Mhm.
and he just got everything back up and running. And we were linking again on the 226. We actually moved to 223.680, but that frequency is so overloaded now. We went back to 223.560, and we were linking up at least during the night when the propagation was good. But unfortunately, now he has a hard drive crash, and it happened 3 days after he took his trip down to Florida. So I've offered him several solutions. His son can get into his shack and fix it. So I'm not quite sure which way he wants to go. Worst cases, we won't have it back until the springtime. So that leaves PNU with no links again. And unfortunately, I see no other prospects unless we get an internet connection for
Or
that
if we
to
get,
happen.
or if we get the K2 PUT up and running, that might.
Yes. Now I am picking up a Linko 6 meter radio next week, and we do have a 6 meter antenna up in Huntington. But I'm not sure if there's any 6 meter packet stations anywhere to link to. So I may put it in place just to see what happens.
Well, I think, if you've got one in place, then we can probably get somebody to try to do something. And maybe that might help our situation in Connecticut with K1MAL 6
Okay.
meters as well. So that would be interesting. Chris, K1MAL, is there any way that a 6 meter link might work for something in Connecticut to link?
Not with what I have in place now. Right now, the only thing I have at both sites is VU, lay antennas that I could diplex on. That's it.
Okay.
And the 6 meters it's at a person's house. I think 6 meters would be too disruptive for his other ham stuff.
Okay. I just wondering if there's, all right, well, think about it a little bit.
No, it's good options. And the other thing I was going to ask if somebody could write up a quick rundown of all this all these HF links, because I'm getting a lot of interest. People talking about that. People were talking about just KA1 VSCs to Glenn's. People were pretty interested in that, and I think
Yeah.
Knowing that stuff's out there would spur more interest in it.
Well, the long and short of it is that somebody puts either a BPQ or a JNOS instance up on their node stack, which can do Vera HF. And then through the BPQ stack, they talk to their FlexNet node stack, and that's how they're doing it. It's just doing BBS forwarding. It's not a full-time link. Obviously, I think you've probably picked up on that, but
Yeah,
as I understand it, it's either someone's got a JNOS or BPQ set up at their node stack.
yeah. No,
to
the only ones I knew about was between KA1 VSCs and Glenn there. It's nice to hear that there's more experimentation going on with this. I'd just like to know so I can listen around, see if I can hear any of these other ones on HF from my location. It'd just be something to think about for the future.
Yeah, I know KB3FT. He's got one up here in central New York running. Andrew's got one up there in central New York running, and they're linking with Glenn and each other. So that's how that happens. But again, it's on your, scheduled BBS forwarding cycles is when it's being done.
Yeah, because I have a spare HF radio now, so that might be something in the future I can start experimenting
That would
with.
be great. Okay. Good progress. Ray, M3 H1AM. Well, let's
Brian, can I jump in 1 second?
go ahead, Charles.
Okay, just a couple things quick before we lose Chris. One, Wayne and I and a few others are looking for information on what defects you had with the 220 radio. And two, on the HF Vera stuff, WZ0C has been running some tests with WE1H up in New Hampshire. So you might also want to pick his brain, and that'll be an alternate path for your HF backbone stuff.
So the answer to TYT question, we noticed, I put it on a service monitor to look at it when I got it, just see if it was on frequency and stuff. And I noticed that when you key it up, it sends a really nasty spur across, even out of band on 220. So I thought, oh, maybe it's just a defective radio. I sent it back, ordered a new one, and the new one does it too. It's like when it goes to key up, it's like the oscillator is not settled yet. There's like a timing issue in it. Then doing more research in it, I found that another guy did a very good analyzed it really good, and did a good YouTube video of it, and found the defect is in with all of them based on that chassis. So the VHF, the 220, and the UHF ones all seem to do this on key up. You see, if you're looking at a waterfall, you see a big horizontal line going across the whole band. I shot a YouTube video of it and looking at it on a SDR radio, and the other guy did a pretty good YouTube video of it too. I'll see if I can find the link, and I could post it to the email reflector.
Has anybody talked to TYT about this?
I emailed, I forget what email I sent to, and it's no response. And I noticed that Alinco came out with a rebranded version of this radio under their brand. And then quickly they came out with a new radio on a different chassis. So I'm wondering if Alinco is aware of it and quickly came out with a new chassis, because I've always watched their FCC applications, because I've been hoping for them to come out with more 220 radios. And I noticed they came out with this TYT based one, and then like a year later they came out with one on a completely different chassis. So I'm wondering if they're knowing about it too, and they're being hush about it because they sold a ton of radios on this chassis, and they're just hoping that it moves past and they get to their new chassis.
Chris, is there any way that you got around this problem with a TX delay? I mean, is it just I know it's not good spectrally clear radio, but if you
It does it with the microphone. If you click the if you key the microphone and watch on SDR, you'll see this giant horizontal sweep of the whole band. I mean, it's not something that you would notice, and there's a ton of these radios out there, and I know somebody over in Newtown that talks simplex on VHF, and he's always complaining about this click that he hears. And I'm wondering if there's somebody out there with a 2-meter rig that's near him. The problem is if it's up at a site, are we worried about you have this 220 radio up at a tower site where it has wide coverage and it's just clicking away on packet? That would probably be annoying to the neighbors.
is it coming from the microphone or not?
No, it's not coming from the microphone. We keyed it with just jumping out the PTT on the it's not an audio thing. It's a frequency the oscillator is unstable. It's like they're bringing up the PA first before the oscillator has a chance to stable on the transmit.
And again, I know it's not spectrally clear, and I don't know how you want to do it, but can you get around it with lengthening a TX delay? Does it settle out enough after it's keyed up?
Well, I mean, you'd have to be in the firmware of the radio to do that. It's not something external to the control of the radio. It's not like
well, with a TX delay, you can do it on the TNC, and you're diddling before you're actually sending data. And I'm just wondering if it settles out.
Well, no, because the symptom shows up if you have nothing hooked to the radio and you just push to talk. If you jump to push to talk, so it's when the radio goes, and then when the radio goes to PA full, it's not settled yet. So it's not an input to the radio that's a problem. It's something internal to the radio.
How long does it take to settle before that goes away?
I didn't measure it, but I could. Like I said, there's a guy that's an engineer that did a really in-depth analyzation of the radio, and he has all the timing and all the data. I'll post the links to the reflector of that. It's if the workaround would be if you had a really tight notch filter on the radio, but then you're kind of negating the point of a cheap radio. Spending money on a filter to fix a bad radio, you might as well just got a good radio up front.
Now, is this the TH9000?
Yeah, the TH9000, what they're selling currently on Amazon. That's the ones I got there. Luckily I was able to return them both, no problem, but it's like I said, it's probably not a big deal if it's low power and it's something in your house, but if you put it up at a tower site and it's clicking away, somebody might start talking about it.
Okay, thanks, Chris. All right, Ray, now we get to you.
Okay. Our 2-meter node has been running up on Gambrel Mountain State Park there, and I have a 440 set up here with a DRA 50. We're going to add a 440 port to that link. On the 2-meter side, I've got a link into Chambersburg, PA to a W3ACH, which is Cumberland Radio Club. So that works pretty good. But we're going to add a 440 VAR FM port to that location on the mountain. So hopefully that somebody else will be able to hit it and link in and do some forwarding on VAR FM. That's all I have.
How much do you think you might be able to get to Lakehurst, New Jersey from your site?
I don't know if that'd be a good one or not.
Because I don't know where your site is when you mentioned
Well, that's quite a trip, Ryan. He's got to
Okay.
go across Maryland first before
Okay.
he gets near Delaware and then New Jersey.
Across PA and
Okay, I was thinking you were
pretty far out.
I thought you were in Pennsylvania. I'm sorry.
Maryland. Yep.
Okay,
All right.
awesome. Well, let's hope we get a link to somebody up in the PA region and we get the PA region linked to Lakehurst, New Jersey when we get that up and running.
I also set up a BPQ system for WW4 BSA in Florida. He's in Orange Park, Florida.
Yep,
He's got his 2-meter stuff running, and he's working on getting an HF antenna up. He'll have HF VAR running as soon as he gets all that assembled.
assuming that's going to be 40 meter for that distance, not 80.
He'll be able to scan anything from 80 to 10 meters.
Okay. Very good. Keeping in mind that, if they're unattended, there's only certain frequencies you're allowed to do the unattended
That's right.
stuff on, so. But that'd be good. Because if you're probably able to get to Glenn and 3MML and 3MEL and stuff in the Philly region on your packet network. So that would be interesting. Okay, excellent. That's good news. All right.
Ray, on the NTS side of things,
Yeah.
we have a station that moved from New Jersey into the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area into a retirement community. So his HF and external antenna solution is not quite there, but he was active as an NTSD station when he lived in Monmouth County.
Okay.
Now that he's in Region 3, he still wants to participate, but he's got no way of getting to, let's say, BVJ to be able to pick up messages for Region 3 for delivery. What method should he be using?
Does he have any RF stuff at all?
Very low power, minimal stuff in Lancaster.
Have him contact the Eastern Hub KB3 BTV, Jim.
Now, Jim,
You mean
Jim's up in-
KY2D?
No.
The Region 3 hub guy?
Yeah, that's KB3 BTV. Jim KY2D moved to
Maine, right?
Maine, yeah. So somebody else is running the other stuff.
Okay, because they're trying to get Dan the way he used to do it when he lost his RF connectivity is that he would telnet into my station and I would relay him to whatever the second region hub outlet was. Now that he's in 3, I've got no telnet connection into Region 3 directly. I can drop messages off with you, but no
Okay.
telnet connection.
If he wants to pick up some kind of messages, I can get them here and he can get them from here, either telnet or however he wants to get in here.
All right. Can you email me the directions and I could walk them through it?
Sure can.
All right, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Chuck, NC8Q, you jumped in late, so let's get an introduction from you and get any comments or anything that you're doing in Ohio to hear what's going on. Welcome, by the way.
Trying to get my camera turned on. Hi, guys. I'm out of the area that you guys cover, so I'm just here to keep abreast of what's happening to the east of me. I run some art and networking stuff here in West Central Ohio. I've got BPQ attached to that network. I'm on 40 meters. Any of the guys in our local Arden network have access to the VBS. So that's going on. I'm very interested in 44net, and I've dabbled in it from time to time. And what I need now is an equipment list and written instructions on how to make it work. And I wrote down 3-year call signs, and I'll probably send you an email and see if I can find that. I've searched around and I can't find a list of equipment. I've got several spare MikroTik routers. I just don't know how to configure them.
Chuck, have you been in contact with KB8 UVN, Matt?
Yes, I have 44net IP addresses. I have two networks actually, but Matt didn't give me any information on how to program the routers.
Well, ask him, because not only is he the coordinator, but he actively uses 44net. He's one of my voting partners.
Okay, I have no access to 44net, so I don't know what's going on, but thanks, Charles.
All right, but talk to him. He can walk you through it.
Marvelous. Thank you. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and listen. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks for coming in today. Rusty, I see you snuck in here. Let's get an update from you. Rusty, you paying attention? There he is.
Yeah, not much new for me. My primary focus is, of course, getting to packet to the New York State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services Emergency Operations Center. And thanks to my connections with you, Brian, we got pretty good coverage with that. I am lacking a direct connect to the New York City area that was there some time ago from the node at the State Police headquarters. But everything else is working to get out to even Mount Oceanta down there in Stanford, New York. And it's all working pretty well. Connections through NC2C seem to be working very well from K2DLL. And K2DLL is working pretty well now. We have various times we have problems with propagation, but much of the time you can connect even though the numbers look bad.
Very, very good, Rusty.
That's about
Okay. I want to talk to you offline because I want to make a trip up to Lake Nancy with some equipment and see if we can chase down or at least identify some problems. But we'll take that offline. Thanks for your report and update. David, KM4LQN. Good morning. You snuck in here late. Let's hear from you.
No, I'm good. This is David KM4LQN down in Richmond, Virginia, listening in.
Yeah, what are you working on in packet? Are you playing with anything? You're interested in anything?
Yeah, we run a couple of BPQ nodes. One is at the Virginia Department of Emergency Management, and then also forwarding VARA HF to Glen N3MEO.
That's awesome. What kind of coverage have you got from your node stack there? Or, over RF, what other than the HF? What's your region of coverage look like down there?
We've got everything in the Richmond, Virginia area covered on VHF, but it's the old single frequency statewide network. A lot of the other equipment has switched over to other frequencies. So we still hear and have good connections to the east and west, the mountains and down towards the coast. But it is mostly all in the Richmond area and trying to get more people active on the BBS side of things instead of just WinLink. They've got WinLink capabilities. So I'm trying to convert some people over to thinking more than just WinLink for packet.
David, are you still connected to the Sedan network?
Nope.
Okay, so do you have, what do you have as far as forwarding connections to get traffic in and out of the area?
Right now we're doing VAR HF to N3MEL. And then there's some AXIP links. So I'm linked to Ray on a separate system, but I keep the internet only from the RF only separate. So I'm not injecting a bunch of extra bulletins.
All right, well, that's just a matter of filtering it properly.
David, if you could, if you've got any data on what's currently functioning on the RF side on the VHF and stuff, and if you could forward any of that to the EastNet list, I'd be curious to see what's still surviving and what's still functioning. And then, maybe we can start connecting people to maybe revive some parts of that network. To get connectivity between here, there, and everywhere. That would, it's always interesting to see what's still surviving and functioning from these legacy networks. And then, if it's a matter of getting somebody to get a bridge between some things that are still working that are orphaned, that's always interesting to see if we can bring that stuff back up and together. So it would be good to keep that conversation going if you could.
Yeah.
Awesome. And again, if we can put it on maps, or if you can give me data with the coordinates for each site, then we can add it to other maps, and then people can go, huh, I'm close to that, or something like that, or we've got something on this mountaintop, let's switch frequencies type thing. And it's always neat how we can rediscover the old packet networks, as my thought. Maybe we can, maybe not, I don't know, until I look at it. I'm not much help with it and flapping my gums here. Look at that. Wow, it's been a small group today, and because Chris isn't here and I'm not talking too much. That's why it's been going shorter. All right.
The guy talking about the Virginia stuff, I have a connection to AB4YY on 2 meters in Front Royal, Virginia.
We should talk, Ray, because we're on, you got you connected to the KC4TS station. And I was talking with YY. He has only sporadic VHF into the Richmond area. So it'd be nice to be able to get him reconnected. They've got a small group of BPQ nodes running up in the Front Royal area. And the biggest problem, of course, is the station that we manage for VDEM has no budget. So it is pretty much fixed where it's at, but there's a lot of the remaining surviving subnets that are along the mountains. If they've got the potential to do equipment to bridge out, that would be really great.
Yeah, David, speaking of the mountains, do you have a link going over the mountain into Northeast Tennessee?
We could, if we had a dedicated frequency to them. So Lexington is a very strong link, but I would hesitate to say, let's start passing a huge amount of traffic. But we've got a very strong connection into the Lexington area.
Okay, well, if you could wait about 5 years, when I retire, I'm moving to the Johnson City area.
All right.
Well, and David, we should keep the conversation going, because, you don't have any budget, but some of us have a boatload of equipment sitting around our shacks that we're trying to thin out the herd, so to speak, of stuff that's sitting here collecting dust. So somebody may be able to send you some stuff, and in the typical frugal ham way, you can get something possibly working. I'm not promising anything, but let's keep the conversation going. And if Front Royal's got a network running there, and maybe we can get you some antennas and radios and stuff that you could put a dedicated link to, and things of that nature, that would be interesting to help bridge that part of the eastern seaboard to a connected network via RF.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and I'm also part of the Appalachian Trail Golden Packet Group, and we learned a lot about that every year when we do that. So I've got a lot of that I can help bring to bear to help that situation as well. So yeah, the EastNet Groups IO would be a good place to yak about that until we get some people connected, and then they can take it offline if need be. But we'd love to help you, and sounds like Ray's got some, you know, you wouldn't be orphaned for long, I guess would be the point if we can get something on there.
Sounds
Awesome. Good. Ray, you're gonna be a kingpin to get the lower eastern seaboard linked.
All right, I'll crack the whip.
Well, all right, so we're an hour into this, or a little over, but that's good. We normally go at least 2 hours. We've covered a lot of topics, and we've actually, I mean, the 44 net and the gateways, I think we made good progress in getting some new people to understand what we're capable of. So between Chuck and Jim, I know there's 2 interests right there, and we're gonna hopefully get something running in Florida. What are some other questions that anybody in the group might have that they want to talk about that would be worthy of a conversation?
If I
Pat?
could give an update, I'd appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, I did. Damon, did I jump over you? Between jumping between conversations and then people signing in and out, the my screen shuffles around too on my Zoom. So go ahead, Damon. Let's have some updates, because you been doing this the Vera stuff, not Vera HF. You guys been doing that on 6 meters? Is that you the one that's been doing that?
No, that's the guys over in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. I'm up here in the mid coast of Maine, right next to
All right,
Jim
right.
KY2D.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be brief as I can. I've been busy with work, so all of my projects have been sidelined. I'm picking up with the oldest project, which is a Raspberry Pico APRS tracker, which I
Yep.
could use help on. C is not my programming language. I built this as small as I could. Ironically, the EMA wants these bigger so they don't get lost when they put them on search and rescue teams. It's a pretty basic TNC. It's based on WB8, WGA's PIC TNC, same functionality as that project with GPS. But the issue is it spits out the raw NEMA data. And although that is APRS compliant, not all the software fully understands the raw strings. So I need help combining a package to parse it into a more standardized APRS strings. But it does work. It works with SAR-Track. It's been tested, and the whole cost of the tracker is, I think the most expensive thing is the antenna and the batteries. Even including that, it's around $25 a unit. It's a fun project. I'm going to document it all, hopefully for clubs to basically buy the parts, make them, and then have fun on the project.
David, did you touch base with WZ0C? He's been doing some interesting stuff in the same vein.
What's the call sign again?
Whiskey Zulu 0 Charlie.
Thank you very much.
The other person you really want to connect with on that project is Jason Roush, W4 APR.
Yep.
And then the Golden APR, the Adirondack Trail Golden Packet Group. We've built Direwolf, not Direwolf, you know, well, it's Direwolf based, but the DigiPi from KM6 LIW. We've built appliances for the Golden Packet event to do 12 and 9600 baud for the Golden Packet event, and that's been done on the Pi 0Ws and stuff. So that's another, and I'll tell you in a minute. The gentleman up there, he's outside of Boston. He does a lot of that, and he wrote.
Yeah, that's WZ0C.
No, is that
That's Mike Ford.
Who is it?
Mike Ford.
No, there's Jim's up there, and there's somebody else up there that does that too. Because I'm on the Golden Packet Group with him, and I run an appliance tracker in my car that was based on that all the time, and but Yeah, those are a couple people you can talk to that'll help you probably leapfrog ahead of what you're running into with your stuff on your project, so. Well, wearable trackers are very much what these people are into.
This is a pretty simple device. One of the added bonuses on it is it's KISS compliant, so you could plug it in and all of a sudden have a TNC.
Well, that's what they're doing with it. They're KISS compliant because they're using the Direwolf software. It's on the Picos to make it a sound card based TNC. So Direwolf was a very good program to do that. It's a sound card based modem.
This Pico won't run, it's not a full Raspberry Pi. It's just a microprocessor for, so it won't run Direwolf, but the cost of it's $4, so it's a lot cheaper. In any case, that's one project. The other is breaking out the Midcoast Maine's packet network, which all shares the same UHF frequency. Since it's show and tell here today, here's the test node, which has been sitting here for I don't know, a month, waiting to get time to go up the hill and put it up and see how well it propagates to the partners, and then using 220 to break out into discrete links. It's going to have 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and 1.25 centimeters meters rather, for testing. And the site has great line of sight to Mount Washington, which is about 90 miles to us. It sees very well, but interfacing it to the mesh network that's being built out in Maine, which should be live in the coming year, it's going to be a little bit difficult because we're not a site that will have a parabolic dish at the other end pointed at us. So the idea is eventually we'll find a way to get on that network, but in the meantime, using 220 as a backbone to start breaking out. There's some 8 or 9 nodes that all use the same frequency, all with decent elevation. So you can imagine what all the hidden transmitter syndrome, the NetROM updates and stuff alone just create an awful lot of traffic on the frequency. So it's failed in some stress tests. The second part of this is that KY2D as the Eastern Area digital traffic network hub already is set up with HF partners. And since he's only a matter of a few miles from this site, we're looking at a discrete link there for an HF link out, so that this will basically all over RF have connectivity outside of Maine for the bulletin board system. So we're making slow progress on that, but it's getting there. This node also is set up on the 44 net.
Okay, I was going to ask about that.
Yep, using Hamgate, and back here in my shack, my BPQ node is also setting up on that. Mark, as well as Charles, were very helpful in getting that up and running. There is one, I guess, question I would put here, which is that when I'm at home on the 44 net with the WireGuard VPN, it's very easy to get into this site. And I've taken this node and plugged it into a couple of commercial routers, and it's very plug and play. I'd imagine you'd be able to travel to a hotel and plug it in, and bam, you're on the 44 net. I'm at home on the 44 net. I can easily get into the node that way. However, if the internet service at this site were to change and the IP address were to change, if I were to use port forwarding to bypass the 44 net, let's hypothetically say I'm on the road traveling and I haven't brought a collection of hardware with me, all I have is my laptop, or I borrow somebody's laptop. How do I get remote access into the 44 net to go into the site and shut something down or make a change? And so I'm wondering if there's a way to have a software WireGuard VPN to get one device, such as a laptop, onto the 44 net so I can remote in. That's something that I would like to solve. Otherwise, I'm limited to being at home, where my only other Hamgate router is to get on the 44 net. That might be a Charles question. Maybe it's outside of the purview of this conversation, but I'm
no, it's possible, Damon. It's possible. It's just a matter of setting up the private key link, and then you're in. Is you can run the WireGuard software on your laptop.
So I have that. I'll need some help setting that up, because
we'll run some experiments for you.
Awesome. I'll shoot you an email.
You can do that. You can do that, or what Chuck did as well, and I do that as well. I have one in my laptop case. I have one of the GLI net nodes, set up as, well, actually, no, I've done that on Arden, but the GLI.net nodes, they're cheap. You can set that up as a 44 net router because that was the first platform we did before we went to Microtext. So those little GLI.net routers are small. Chuck, hold yours back up again. And yeah, put that right in and you can make a 44 net gateway router as well. So either or, you can do software on the laptop to have a WireGuard client, because the WireGuard VPN client is very ubiquitous. So there are so many devices, it's just we don't have documentation to help do that right off easily, but Charles can, if he's already offered up, he can get you set up to do that. The other thing is that maybe you can even do one of those operating systems, secure systems on a thumb drive and set it up on that too, so that you could always have a thumb drive that you could plug into any computer and be on the network. But clearly it'd be easy to do on your laptop.
These are all great pieces of information. That is it for my update. One quick question though, looking on the EastNet website for the Chromebook, I'm tempted to buy a Chromebook now. I'm just wondering if there's any updates on certain Chromebooks to avoid. The Lenovo N22 is the one that is documented, dated, looks like it's back a year ago now. If there's anything I should be concerned about with
Charles, what's the website you found? But there's a website that they maintain that are easily convertible from from Chrome OS to Linux. Must be Charles stepped away because he hasn't unmuted already. But there are lists of the ones that you can find. Newegg.com, Amazon are good places to find these cheap refurbished Chromebooks. I found a bunch of them under $50 and I ended up getting 3 of them. But I haven't converted them to Linux yet. But yeah, there's a website that they maintain which ones are easily converted. Some of them, there's a little screw that you take off on the motherboard. There's a screw that literally has something shorted out that won't let you reload the firmware. So you take the screw out, and some of them are allowed to do it natively without any modifications.
do you know who the they is that you're referring to?
No, I'm trying, and that's why I was hoping Charles was going to unmute.
Yeah, he stepped away. I'll follow up over email with him.
Yeah.
The Acer C710 works well. I stole my son's. That was that just required a piece of foil shoved in or anything to short out the connector, but it's buried, so a piece of aluminum foil shoved in it worked fine, and it was easy to install Ubuntu on that. And that was, well, I think we only paid, I can't remember what it was. They're not expensive now. Used on eBay.
Great. Thank you very much for the information.
David, and thanks for the updates. That's it's good to hear that Coastal Maine Network's gonna, well, it's already tied in if you've got 44 net running, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of us up here. My disappointment is that the Arden mesh network being built out by NG1P is not using the 44 net. And that's,
Well, it's because it's not easily done, because the Arden stuff is hard coded for the 10.10. So typically what we find is if you can get somebody who can connect to the Arden mesh, they just build a gateway, like a BPQ, and then they just publish a link to it. And then you just have to educate people, like go to this node, and then you get this, terminal prompt, and then you're on the 44 network.
Charles was talking about pushing bulletins on the 44 net. Was he talking about just AXIP partners?
I think
Okay.
that's what they're doing, to feed the BBSs, and then the BBSs do their RF forwarding partners that way.
Yeah, that's what Jim KY2D has set up with Charles. He started that first because his familiarity is mostly with the digital traffic network, but he already has all of the tools right there. So they started there with that and the idea that they will test it out and then move over to an RF partner.
Yes.
And he's also got, he's gotten his 2-meter antenna up from the 3 feet above sea level now, about 30 feet. So he's connecting much better to the local network if anybody
Now-
wants to play with.
Check with Jim, because I gave him links when he was still down in New Jersey to go buy a 220 antenna, and he might have a 220 radio.
Oh, he does. Yeah, no, we've, I had lunch over at his house the other day with Steve Hansen, KB1 TCE. It was the first time the three of us had all met in person, which was quite fun. But yeah, he's all he needs is a 220 radio and to get a triplexer back for his 220 antenna. Previously, he had spotty connectivity to one of our local packet nodes. But he said it was working. Now he's much stronger signal into that. So all of the NTS traffic, make sure I get this right, out of the state can be routed through him on the packet network. We also expanded the hierarchical addressing to include Octothorpe and 4 letters of the county names following the 44net standardization, so that it better makes the network for future forwarding. Right now, it works, but the hope is with breaking out the background, we can come up with better links. KY2D, though everything points to him for the outbound traffic. Everything else into the state for NTS traffic is still manually handled through KB1 TCE. So there's been some small steps here and there with everything with the network. I think there's maybe 12 to 15 packet nodes here. So it's that hidden transmitter system that I'm trying to get fixed,
Yeah,
starting with this one node.
It's nice to know that you're very well aware of what that problem is, so you're working on that.
Actually,
but-
one other thing, maybe somebody here can help me with. I've been racking my brain trying to figure out a way to put together a grant. The free money is no longer flowing as much as it was. And if there's a way I can tie in an educational component or something that's a better sell. The mesh network was funded through a grant that is hopefully going to be active in the next year. We have all these packet nodes, but the backbone needs to be addressed. And then there's the possibility of tying in with the 44net. Sorry, not the 44net, the mesh network. The question is, how can I come up with an idea that's a better selling point than please give us money to upgrade the infrastructure that can be used for MCOM and experimentation in amateur radio? There's got to be a better way that to write a grant proposal that somebody would benefit, and I just can't think of it.
ARDC is a better group to direct the request for funding at.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, but the actual request, I don't want to say, please give us money for equipment that we can build stuff. I want to come up with something that's a little bit more of a better community buy-in, and I don't know what that is.
Ping me offline and I'll throw some ideas and some buzzwords. The one thing that anybody who's doing these grants, especially with the ARDC, one of my pet peeves is you need to write the grant to fund maintenance of that for a good 10 years, because it's easy to get money to build a network. It's hard to get money, and I'm including labor, because when the one person who was the champion for the project gets burned out and nobody else knows how to do it, then the network falls apart. I've seen this happen time and time again, even in the commercial emergency management at the state level and stuff like that. People's pet projects, if they lose interest and there's no funding there to go pay people to maintain things, they die. So I would highly encourage whatever you do is put money in the grant to cover it for 10 years. If you have to pay people other than rely on the 1 or 2 people that volunteer to do it, and they go have a baby and have a family life and run out of time to do stuff. So, but we can talk about this. You can ping me for ideas, use buzzwords. You know, yeah, I would do a new packet radio kind of design, or try to put something on the 220 channels that nobody ever used that were allocated when we lost the 2 megahertz. In the 220 band, there's below 220, there's 100 kilohertz wide channels that nobody ever deployed, and there's hardware available for them. Let's look at something, because you could probably make some pretty good backbones on 220, and ARDC doesn't necessarily mean it's an education component. Yeah, there's ways to do it. and they run pretty loose with what their, where the projects are, so.
Great. I'll email you, and these are all fantastic ideas, and who knows, maybe the timing of the project will work with a hopeful FCC that comes around with the bandwidth limitations that might, maybe there's
Yeah.
something in
Well,
that.
and right now there are, between 219 and 220, there's dedicated point-to-point packet links that were set aside in that band. They're up to 100 kilohertz wide. Now, I don't think we've got any hardware that'll do that, but maybe we can think about that a little bit. And I don't know what the process is, because who coordinates and grants those frequencies, I don't know. I think it's the league, and that makes me cringe. But there's things that we can, and if we make it visible enough and there's money, the league all of a sudden has interest in things.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So let's see. So Charles is on, let's see.
I have a question, Brian.
Yeah, go ahead, Rusty.
I have several commercial grade.
Can you get
PACOM
closer to your
TNCs.
microphone? Can you get closer to your microphone? You're kind of muffled.
I have several PACOM TNCs. They're the commercial version. And I'd like to convert them so that I can use them with FlexNet 6-pack EEPROM. The Ham published some stuff on how to convert them to act as a regular TNC, but now that cannot be found anywhere on the internet. But just plugging a double EEPROM into them with a 6-pack, it'll transmit and no audio and so on. So I wonder if anybody's had any experience or knows somebody that I could go to get some information.
I don't off the top of my head. However, if something disappeared from the internet, try to go search the Wayback Machine website, because they archived a lot of stuff on the internet. It's called the Wayback Machine. So maybe you could find.
Is this the TNCs that are based on the Tiny 2? The same?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Chris.
if you send me an email, I could, if you need an EEPROMs burned or anything for that, I've been playing around a lot with those.
Yeah, these are the ones that were PACCOM had marketed them as commercial TNCs.
Yeah, all it was really was a special firmware in it. It's not they're not really any different than the regular ones, unless somebody's modified them some other way. I've converted the commercial version to a regular ham version, no problem.
Chris, or Rusty, did you catch that? So you want to get in touch with Chris? Because Rusty has a bunch of TNCs.
What's your email, Chris?
It's radiochris@protonmail.com, or you could just look, it's on my QRZ page has my contact info. K1MAL.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, if do you have the capability to burn EEPROM?
Well, we did, yes, but we burned them with a 6-pack, but we had to start at a higher number of register to make it function with a TNC.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I think we could work through that. Just send me an email and I'll see if I can help you get going. If not, if you need a Tiny 2 TNC, I got piles of them now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Awesome. We're making connections this morning. We're getting people educated. People have contacted people that can help them get over the humps. That's awesome. This has been a good session today. Who else has got some stuff they want to talk about? Otherwise, we can probably cut this one short and let everybody go waste their time other places, right? Pat, did you have anything else this morning?
Just a question about Mount Needham. Are we too late in the season to get up there, or do you still want to make a try for it?
It's a blacktop road getting up there, so it's not bad. I'd be willing to, unless we get walloped with some snow. I'm gonna get walloped with some snow probably Sunday, but how much, we don't know. If it's gonna be rain versus snow. That's far enough south that it's typically not a problem. But yeah, if you want to go, I can make time.
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm retired, every day's a weekend, so just let me know when you're ready. I've got everything ready to go.
Okay, so get a hold of Bill and let's schedule a time. A weekday would be better for me, but I actually know weekends are open for me now too, so that's,
Yeah, I think he's only available Saturday through Tuesday. So anytime is good with me.
so I can make time as well.
Okay, I'll get in touch with Bill and see if he's available.
Yeah, I'd love, because Chris would love to, there's a bunch of stuff up there that we could fire up that was just sitting there just dormant, that the radios and TNCs are there and installed, the antennas. We don't have the tower restriction we thought we used to at that site, so that could be a good site. You get your link running, get one running to Chris, that would be awesome. And Chris, you said you want a UHF link if I can get one running, right?
Yeah, UHF, because I have all the equipment. I have a CDM turned up for it and everything. Even if there's no internet there, if we could just turn on a
Well, that's,
TNC that we could just
if we
test
go
with.
up, if we go up there, there's gonna be internet there because we got a 44 net gateway that's going too.
Okay.
Pat's got
Yeah.
a computer put together, all that stuff. So if we can get there, we're gonna do all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, and yeah, if there was just anything turned on for UHF, we could do testing and I could play around with over the winter, see paths and everything. That'd be great.
Awesome.
Okay,
Fantastic. Let's do that trip. Because that could bring up 1, 2 into the network with Chris. We can bring Long Island to the network, and maybe we can even get their 220 running and bring them into the network on the New Jersey side too. Fantastic. All right. Anything else for the good of the collective here? Don, you look like you want to say something. Got anything to say this morning, Don?
No, we're all set.
Excellent.
Hmm.
Oh, yes, but that brings up a point. Don would like to relinquish secretarial duties due to health and family commitment reasons. Who might be willing to take up the secretarial duties for the EastNet group? Oh, yes. I gotta do a direct ask and arm twisting, I can see. Look at this. All right. Gotta pick on somebody. All right, I'll have to talk about people offline. Don, I'll find some relief for you. But,
Okay, even if it's temporary, it would be helpful.
okay.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we're not too heavy into this. Administratively, we've kind of gone to a less paperwork, more just exchange ideas group, but I think it's actually improving the EastNet group. When I took over, this group was EastNet or hell, and or no, not EastNet. It was
FlexNet or hell.
FlexNet or hell. We've expanded the concept and ideas, and this is a small group on the call today. The Thursday, the nighttime meetings on the weekdays seem to draw more people showing up. But this is good. The collective and the mind exchanges that's going on, EastNet is becoming stronger. So the administrative side is just mostly going to be an agenda, some minutes, and sending out email notices.
If we could reduce the length of paperwork, it would, that would be okay too.
Don, you and I can talk about offline too. I can probably pick up the slack temporarily for you as well.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
we can talk about that on the phone and figure that out.
I hate to make that decision, but it's necessary.
No, this is a hobby and it takes a back burner. So Charles, you're back. What else you got to say?
Just a few caveats, I guess. If you're forwarding bulletins that belong in a specific area, make sure that your rewrite files and scripting is proper so that we don't wind up with weird stuff going where it doesn't need to go.
Yeah, you can yell at me again about that. That's okay.
Well, I was trying to be diplomatic about that, Brian, but
Look,
but
I got thick skin. No, don't worry about it.
yeah, but it's the same thing with in general with all bulletins. that they get addressed to areas, to flood areas that are outside of the intended recipients. So, it's like saying, okay, well, here's our club activity calendar for the next month, and you send it worldwide. Obviously that's an egregious, over the top example, but this happens. Whether it's weather bulletins intended for central New York State and wind up somewhere else, or stuff winding up around the world. And then for some crazy reason, I'm seeing this out of BPQ stations where they use a dot in the flood area. Okay. This is not normal. Flood areas are topic 6 characters at flood area 6 characters, no dots. That's not how it works. Just like white pages are supposed to be private messages to your forwarding partners, not a worldwide bulletin. So like you said, just a few niggling little things.
Yeah, and and I was guilty of that because I fixed problems I had forwarding with Andrew K1YMI because we've got just a small group of little 3 or 4 forwarding partners. And when I figured out how to adjust what the problem was I had, I mistakenly copied that to all my other forwarding partners. Charles said something like, oh yeah, that's not supposed to go to Pat. That's not supposed to go to Charles. It's only between 2 or 3 others. So I went in there, quick redid it and fixed that problem, but I didn't think too hard about it because I just copied and pasted in my forwarding files. So thanks for calling that to my attention and reminding me that not everything is ubiquitous with every forwarding partner. So
I can start forwarding back to you again.
oh yeah, you stopped?
Yeah, I
had-
stopped when I got an email from Charles.
No, I fixed it and I've rebooted.
Okay, I'll re-enable it.
But I fixed your file, so I was able to see and get the things and then I just copied and pasted and I did that to both Pat and Charles. I'm like, oh yeah, dumbass. You don't do it to everybody. My other 3 partners get it, but not those 2. And I fixed it.
Yeah, and something for Pat. You've got white pages messages that were intended for W2KPQ. They wound up in my system.
Not sure why, but I'll look into it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nice that we're just talking about these minor problems now, isn't it?
Yeah. We had some problems a couple of years ago getting people to understand NetROM quality settings and obsolescence timers and whatnot. For the most part, it's gotten better.
Yes.
There's a few here and there that have some weird numbers in their systems, but other than that, 203
because
IP
they
connections are great.
They still hold on to some old ancient web page that was based on RF networks that they're doing AXIP connections on. That's still the problem.
Yeah, from 30 years ago.
Yes. But great group this morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Again, if anybody else wants to get into the 44net Hamgate.
Hamgate.ampr.org. Webpage is accessible by both public internet and 44net. Everything's right there. The maps are there, the state guideline plans and all sorts of documents.
You want to
All
say
right.
that, give me that again so I can put it in the minutes?
Hamgate.ampr.org.
Thank you.
Charles, I would like to talk with you offline, but I lost your phone number when I changed my phones.
Don't change phones. 917-991-0356. I
And
go to
what's
bed at midnight, so anytime before that's good.
And any day of the week better for you?
Nah, and they're all the same. I mean, I work Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay.
And nights tend to be our weekly nets, but other than that, like I said, I go to bed at midnight, so you can call 10, 11 o'clock at night if you're still up.
Okay, may give you a call tomorrow since it's going to be a rainy day here. Maybe I'll give you a call then. Thank you.
All right. All right, well, I'll be at church in the morning and then gassing up the car, but other than that, I'm good.
This would be mid-afternoon or evening.
Ah, no problem. No problem. Sunday afternoons are normally quiet. The wife watches her Hallmark movies. I get on the computer and the radio.
So I think if anybody else got anything? This has been another wonderful session, the mind melding of the EastNet group. And I appreciate everybody in your contributions. You all make EastNet and the collective. I mean, when I took this presidency on, if we had 5 or 6 people attend these meetings, it was a lot. And then we weren't doing anything to advance the digital art, if you ask me. We're advancing stuff a lot now.
That's true. That's very true. We've come a long way since a few years ago. Yes.
So we're making progress.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that Chuck's showing up from Ohio. We have people from, they have David coming in from Virginia. And, we've got our Pennsylvania and Delaware and
Super.
people, they're joining in and we're starting to get people connected to this Vera HF thing, at least getting these geographically separated networks forwarding messages. That's exciting. We're still relying on the internet for quite a bit of stuff, but that's okay. The internet does have redundancy that the odds of it going down everywhere all at once are going to be negligible, but you all make it happen. So, and the people who don't think they know a lot, learn a lot when talking with the people that might have experience in a particular area or avenue on stuff. So let's keep it up and let's keep doing what we're doing and keep exchanging ideas. Anybody else got anything before we pull the plug here?
Yeah, we're also developing the HF network, which means even if the internet goes down, we still can communicate between regions.
You're right. That's right. The Vera HF and
And
other
that's
HF
important.
modes as they come. Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, it'd be cool if people just post their updates with their experiments with HF and frequency so people can be in the loop on that. That's a new thing and it's a very interesting thing.
Yes, that's a great point, Chris. That's a great point to yeah.
Yeah.
Use the group list, groups IO list to let people know what we're doing. I'd like to see again some updates from the 6 meter guys that are playing on not Vera HF, but the regular Vera FM, because that's the mid bridging stuff. That's not HF, and if it works well and your people are close enough, they can be full-time live parts of the network too. So,
Jeff and I have been discussing that Vera FM on 6 meters, but I'm not sure whether we'll be able to make that. But we have been discussing it.
well, and I need to do it as well because Jeff and I have direct path to each other. We're close enough, and if it does work, I might be able to get a port put up on one of the tower sites too. So that would solve some problem too. Yeah, I'm fortunate that our county pretty much let me do whatever I want if there's room on the towers. So I've got some ability to do this stuff, and I've got some towers that have got antennas that are VHF low band. They don't like to load up on 6 meters, but we might be able to do something.
Yep. Post times and frequencies when you're experimenting so we could all listen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunately, our system is on the state police tower and we don't have flexibility. Otherwise, I'd have a lot more equipment up there and a lot more antennas.
Yeah, and we've got that limitation because we can't have anybody climb that doesn't
Right.
have insurance and all that. The county's got to approve it.
Right.
But there are options of cans, duplexers, things like that. So let's not discount the idea of, we've got some people who've got some real RF experience, and if we're trying to shoehorn something in a non-ideal situation with antennas, but it's high and on a good site, let's exchange ideas as well. Especially when they're on commercial sites and things like that, where we got limitations with what we can do on the tower.
When we started there, fellow that was in charge was a member of our club. So, excuse me, so I spent quite a few hours putting antennas up on the tower. But now with the new restrictions and like you say, insurance and covering their backsides and everything, all of that is gone away, and we don't have that flexibility anymore. And space is limited inside the building.
Well, as was it, Clint Eastwood said in that movie, adapt and overcome, right? We gotta
Yeah,
find.
absolutely. We've been doing that. Yep.
So but you know, some people on this group are new enough that, you know, you don't realize that, oh, things like old duplexers might actually work, or you load up an antenna that's not resident, but it works enough that we get by on it. Let's not discount the idea of going, is there anything I can do? And maybe somebody else has an answer to that solution. So,
Yeah, I've had to add circulators and bandpass filters and all kinds of stuff.
yeah, and as we get older, we got to add circulators with our meds and the doctors and all that stuff.
Yeah, that too.
So, I've hit the age now where in the last 3 months, the check engine light came on, and well, hospitalization, congestive heart failure and all that stuff. My family hereditary heart disease caught up with me, and now I'm paying attention to stuff like that too. But we get it done. We fixed it. We adapt and overcome, right?
Good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got some mechanical parts here and there too.
But again, every day above the dirt is still a good day. That's the way I see it.
If your 2 feet hit the floor in the morning, it's a good day.
Yes, if your 2 feet don't hit the floor in a box, you're in a better day, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if you're vertical. Yeah.
As an old guy I worked with, he's like, well, I'm able to sit up and take nourishment, so it's a good day, you know? Okay, group, thank you very much. Let's call it a day.
Thanks, Ryan.
The next quarterly meeting is when, Don? Do you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Second Thursday in March.
Second Thursday in March.
Yeah, I had a date that I thought I put the date in there.
You probably did, and I'm just not looking on that screen. I've got too many screens on my computer.
To follow up, I know
I'll tell
Wire
you
White
one
was
second.
part of this
It is
conversation.
Thursday, March 7th at $1,900.
That's the first Thursday. The second Thursday is the 14th.
Hang on.
Well, the date on the calendar we put together was March 7th at 1900. If you want to make it the 14th, it's
I thought we were
okay with
doing it
me.
the second week.
Whatever you want to do
Ryan?
is okay with me. That's the date that's on the calendar that we put together.
Oh, yeah, it looks like, because March 1st is on a Friday, so it's actually the 14th.
Okay, well, we had it Thursday the 7th. You want it the 14th? I'll change it.
Yeah, that's the second one.
Okay, 14th it is.
And 7 PM.
March 7.
If you want, I've already added it to the calendar for my group down here in New York City.
That's good.
We have a Google calendar for the group. Everybody synchronizes their personal calendars to it. So the second Saturdays and second Thursdays are already in there. So if you guys want to connect to the calendar, it's automatic.
If somebody wants to explain how to do that, we can always put a calendar up.
Okay, that covers that.
Is that something everybody has access to? Like,
Yeah, this is Google. You
if
can
I-
set up your own Google Calendar and share it with people.
Okay, so I need the instructions on how to do that.
Yeah, if you can send that shared calendar link to the EastNet group, that would be good, Charles.
Okay,
Yeah, if we can use his, that'll be work fine, and just stick all the dates on it.
you're already in there. I've got it going in perpetuity, so you don't have to worry about it ever again.
Well, that'd be great.
Because I want to make sure that our group down here knew about.
And
these
now
meetings.
let's go.
And then we
Okay.
gotta figure out how to get everybody to look at the calendar.
Take care,
Well-
Misco. Have a good day. Thank you for coming.
73. Stay
That's
safe,
why I
everyone.
advocate to my people that they just click on the link and then bring it into their calendar.
Right.
Do it once and it's done. You don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Anything else? Any other housekeeping items we gotta do? All right, guys, till March. We'll see you on the mailing list. Take care.
73.
All right, put it in the chat, Brian. Oh, he's gone already. Okay. Never mind.
It's in the chat.
Yeah, you see that link I put up there?
Yeah, let me go in there. Oh, yes. Okay, I will.
All right, that'll bring you to the web page where it is, and the link is right there near the top of the page.
All right, let me copy it. And I put it in my notepad here. Okay, I got it.
All right. And I've
Yep.
got the Rat Pack Zoom meetings in there. Got a bunch of stuff in there. So
Super.
I find it useful.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.